welcome. You are here to take a personality test, and I got a perfect one just for you. It's called the Myers-Briggs Personality Test. It is one of the popular ones, and it will classify you into one of the 16 different personalities that they have. It will classify you using 4 different traits, and I'll explain that further right now. So it will classify you into E or I, S or N, T and F, and J and P. So E is for extrovert, outgoing, perhaps more talkative, and liking fast-paced environments. I is for introverts, more reserved, private, and maybe liking more of a slow-paced environment. And S is for sensing. They like to focus on details and have ideas that have more practical applications. And N is for intuition. So they notice things in big pictures and have more figurative and poetic perspective on things. And when they try to explain things, they don't explain more logical, but more figurative. And next one is T, which is for thinking. So they use more logics when making decisions, while F is for feeling. They consider other people's values and personalities when making any decisions and see how their decision may affect an individual. And lastly, J is for judging, having step-by-step solutions and plans mapped out for them, while P is perceiving. They like to do things more spontaneously and like to go with the flow, maybe more on the impulsive side. Do you think you have any ideas where you might land on? Well, let's take the test together and see what you get and what I get. So just grab your phone, grab your computer, your tablet, whatever you can access an internet on, and just go to the websites 16personalities.com, and we can take the test together. So I'll read all the questions out and we can answer it together. I'm not going to personally tell you what my answer is, so I don't influence your answers. And before we start on this, a little disclaimer. Just because you get classified into a specific personality and then you realize that the specific personality doesn't match with another specific one that may be your friends, family, or someone that you're close with, someone you like, doesn't match, don't worry about it. It's not a serious type of personality test, and you're unique person. Like, it shouldn't classify you or change who you are as a person. You might just understand yourself more better and maybe see things in a perspective that you never really thought about by taking this test and reading out what that personality, quote unquote, explains about yourself. So this is for fun. Don't hesitate too much when answering the question, because depending on how you feel, what environment you're in, and what you have experienced, and maybe even your mood that day or months later down the road, will affect your answer. It will also affect the answer if you think really, really hard and take a long time to answer the question, because your answer could alternate between what you want to be perceived as and what you truly think you might be. So just keep that in mind, because I've done this test quite a few times. Maybe out of 10 times, or like 7 out of 10 times, I got ESTP, and like 2 out of 10 times I got ISTP, so my introvert and extrovert switched over. And sometimes, like 1 out of 10 times, I would get ESFP. So you can see my personality keeps changing depending on what I do experience, what I felt that day. So don't sweat it too much, but let's see what you get today and I get today. So I'm just gonna grab my iPad to do this test. And again, go to 16personalities.com, and 16 is the numerical number 16. Just click take the test and let's get started. So number 1. Maybe I shouldn't say number 1 because I'm gonna forget what number we're at. Anyways, you regularly make friends. Agree, disagree? Oh yeah, before we go further, try not to make your answer all in the middle, saying I don't know or maybe. Do try to put it into slightly agree, strongly agree, or disagree, because that'll actually give you a more quote-unquote precise answer. Okay, next one. You spend a lot of your free time exploring various random topics that pique your interest. Seeing other people cry can easily make you feel like you want to cry too. You often make a backup plan for a backup plan. You usually stay calm even under a lot of pressure. At social events, you rarely try to introduce yourself to new people and mostly talk to the ones you already know. Okay, time to click next. You prefer to completely finish one project before starting another. You're very sentimental. You like to organize tools like schedules and lists. Even a small mistake can cause you to doubt your overall abilities and knowledge. You feel comfortable just walking up to someone you find interesting and striking up a conversation. You are not too interested in discussing various interpretations and analysis of creative works. You're more inclined to follow your head than your heart. You usually prefer just doing what you feel like at any given moment instead of planning a particular daily routine. You rarely worry about whether you make a good impression on people you met. You enjoy participating in group activities. You like books and movies that make you come up with your own interpretation of the ending. Your happiness comes more from helping others accomplish things than your own accomplishments. Next. You're interested in so many things that you find it difficult to choose what to try next. You are prone to worrying that things will take a turn for the worst. You avoid leadership roles in group settings. You're definitely not an artistic type of a person. You think the world would be a better place if people relied more on rationality and less on their feelings. You prefer to do your chores before allowing yourself to relax. Next. You enjoy watching people argue. You tend to avoid drawing attention to yourself. your mood can change very quickly. You lose patience with people who are not as efficient as you. You often end up doing things at the last possible moment. You have always been fascinated by the question of what, if anything, happens after death. We're halfway there. You usually prefer to be around others rather than on your own. You become bored or lose interest when the discussion gets highly theoretical. You find it easily to empathize with a person whose experiences are very different from yours. You usually postpone finalizing decisions for as long as possible. You rarely second-guess the choices that you have made. After a long and exhausting week, a lively social event is just what you need. You enjoy going to art museums. You often have a hard time understanding other people's feelings. You like to have a to-do list for each day. You rarely feel insecure. You avoid making phone calls. You often spend a lot of time trying to understand views that are very different from your own. In your social circle, you're often the one who contacts your friends and initiate activities. If your plans are interrupted, your top priority is to get back on track as soon as possible. You are still bothered by mistakes that you made a long time ago. You rarely contemplate the reasons for human existence or the meaning of life. Your emotions control you more than you control them. You take a great care not to make people look bad, even when it is completely their fault. Your personal work style is closer to spontaneous bursts of energy than organized and consistent efforts. When someone thinks highly of you, you wonder how long it will take them to feel disappointed in you. You would love a job that requires you to work alone most of the time. You believe that pondering abstract philosophical questions is a waste of time. You feel more drawn to places with busy, bustling atmospheres than quiet, intimate places. You know at first glance how someone is feeling. You often feel overwhelmed. You complete things methodically without skipping any oversteps. You are very intrigued by things labeled as controversial. You would pass along a good opportunity if you thought someone else needed it more. You struggle with deadlines. You feel confident that things will work out for you. Looks like that is the last question. So let's see our results. Okay. So I am extremely ESTP today. know if you can tell right now. So, my personality type is entrepreneur. Mind, so I'm 59% extroverted, 41% introverted. Energy, so they say it's observant for us sensing, or and then for intuition. So S is 57%, I is 43%. My thinking went, my T and F completely shifted, because it used to be more 50-50. But today, my T is 90%, F is 10%. My tactics, P is 67%, and J is 33%. And lastly, I didn't go over this in the beginning, the identity, assertive or turbulent. And I got A, 74%, and T is 26%. So, how did you feel doing the test? I do this multiple times when I get really bored and see how different I feel that day, but I think I'm really set on being ESTP, and I think my personality type is actually one of the rarer ones, because I don't know if it's in this world or just Korea in general, it's only 4% of the population that shares the same personality trait as me. So I'll love to see your personality type as well. We can always go through the strengths, the weakness, romantic relationships, friendship, parenthood, career paths, workplace habits, and the conclusion of this more in a later time, whenever you want to go into it more deeper. But yeah, it's very interesting how you can see what other celebrities also have the same personality type as yourself. And when you read through it as well, you can kind of see like, oh, this does kind of explain me. And sometimes you're like, oh, never really thought about that way about myself, but I can actually see how my actions correspond to my personality, which I find it really funny. But because I even said I got multiple personality types as well when I did the test, and it was only like 6 months apart for each one I did. And each time I read those, I felt like, oh, they're actually explaining who I am as a person. I hope you had fun doing the personality test with me, and I hope you didn't mind listening to what my results were, but sharing our result of what we are in the MBTI test, the Myers-Briggs personality test. I just think we got to know each other more better. And hopefully we can get extra close in the future by doing more of these things together. So have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.